There comes a time in life when a series of events unfolds so strangely, so precisely timed in their misfortune that you begin to wonder, is this really just bad luck? Or is something or someone working against me? You feel it in your bones before your mind can catch up. The sense that something in your world has shifted. Maybe it's the sudden breakdown of relationships that were once stable. Or the unexplained fatigue weighing down your body no matter how much rest you get. Or perhaps it's the lingering unease, the sense of being watched, followed by dreams so vivid they cling to you long after sunrise. At first, you dismiss it all. You rationalize, you explain. But as the patterns repeat, as peace slips further from reach, a darker truth whispers through the cracks. This may be more than coincidence. This could be witchcraft. Now, let's be clear, modern witchcraft rarely looks like what we see in movies. There are no broomsticks, no bubbling cauldrons. Today, it hides in plain sight, quiet rituals, whispered intentions, energy channeled through the mundane. And if you're the target of it, the signs aren't always obvious, at least not at first. But once you begin to see them, they're impossible to ignore. The first and most telling sign is a series of negative patterns in your life that defy logic. Everyone has a rough day, a missed bus, a spilled coffee, a frustrating phone call. But what happens when the bad days become a cycle? When the misfortunes cluster in the same areas over and over again, your health, your work, your closest connections? You were thriving and now you're unraveling. A client cancels out of nowhere. Your car won't start the morning of an important interview. A misunderstanding erupts between you and a loved one, seemingly without cause. One or two instances you can shrug off, but when these disruptions come in waves, striking different areas of your life in uncanny synchronicity, it begins to look less like life and more like sabotage. These aren't random inconveniences, they're blockages. Designed, perhaps intentionally, to wear you down, keep you distracted, break your focus, and chip away at your confidence. The kind of damage that builds slowly, silently, until you forget what it felt like to have clarity. If you're nodding, if this feels uncomfortably familiar, start documenting. Keep a simple journal. Track the timing of setbacks. Note who you interacted with, what you were on the verge of achieving, what changed right before things began to fall apart. Patterns emerge when we give them space to reveal themselves, and often they point to the same person, the same energy, the same moment everything shifted. Now let's move deeper, because the second sign is more personal and it manifests in your very body and mind. When someone is actively sending negative energy your way through spells, rituals, or even focused ill will, your physical and emotional state may begin to reflect that attack. I once spoke with a woman who had always been full of life, sharp, social, driven. But one day, she began feeling a type of fatigue that didn't respond to sleep, vitamins, or rest. It was a heaviness that wrapped around her, dragging her down for no medical reason. Her doctors couldn't find anything wrong. Her labs were clean. But she felt hollowed out, like her vitality had been siphoned. Alongside the exhaustion came emotional disturbances, unprovoked sadness, bursts of anxiety, and vivid nightmares of shadows, paralysis, and silent screams. The fear didn't live in her thoughts, it lived in her nervous system, in the way she tensed in certain rooms or flinched at specific names. And nothing she tried seemed to lift it. The deeper truth? When your energy field is under attack, your body becomes the battleground. The symptoms you feel aren't rooted in illness, they're echoes of interference. Not coming from within you, but being forced upon you. You see, witchcraft doesn't need a candlelit ritual to harm someone. Sometimes, the sheer focus of resentment or jealousy from another person is enough to open a channel. And if you're sensitive or spiritually open, you'll feel it first in the places you're most vulnerable. The artist loses their vision. The leader loses their voice. The mother, her peace of mind. These attacks strip away the parts of us that give life its meaning. So how do you know whether what you're feeling is supernatural, not psychological? Again, track the patterns. Do your symptoms intensify after certain conversations? Do they ease when you leave a particular space or stop interacting with someone specific? Did it all start after a strange gift, a handshake, a sharp look? Because that is where we go next, into the third sign, the physical markers of spiritual sabotage. The third sign may seem small at first, but it's perhaps the most undeniable, the sudden appearance of strange objects or unusual arrangements in your environment. These physical traces often serve as anchors for spiritual interference, acting as gateways for the intentions behind them to attach to you or your space. It can be something as subtle as a tiny bundle of herbs tied with red string, tucked into a corner you rarely check. A coin placed face up beneath your welcome mat. A pouch of powder hidden behind a picture frame. Or even items you own, jewelry, clothing, or keepsakes that suddenly feel off. They make your skin crawl or stir discomfort even though nothing about them seems overtly wrong. This is no accident. Modern practitioners of witchcraft, those who channel harm, understand how to embed negative energy into the physical world. They know where to place these items for maximum disruption. Entryways, bedrooms, workspaces, and anywhere you frequently sit, sleep, or spend time. They know that the closer to your body the object resides, the more powerfully it can affect you. What's most chilling is when these objects seem to arrive without explanation, a trinket gifted by someone with a smile that never reaches their eyes. A forgotten bracelet that somehow ends up under your bed. A photograph turned upside down when no one was home. If you encounter anything like this, do not touch it directly. Wear gloves. Use tongs. Treat it not as superstition, but as energetic evidence. Dispose of it carefully away from your home. And cleanse the space thoroughly with salt, smoke, sound, or prayer. These are not relics of folklore. They are ancient tools still needed today. Now, even with objects removed, the damage may already be felt. Because witchcraft doesn't just aim to inconvenience you. It seeks to isolate you. That brings us to the fourth sign, a sudden and inexplicable breakdown in your closest relationships. One by one, the people who once offered warmth and support begin to grow cold. Friends stop answering calls. Loved ones seem distant, short-tempered. Miscommunications multiply. Harmless words become twisted, taken out of context. Bonds weaken, and before long, you find yourself alone, unsure how it happened or why. This is no ordinary drifting apart. When witchcraft is involved, it's as though a fog settles between you and others. Resentment, suspicion, and distance appear without cause. You try to repair things, but every attempt backfires. And worse, it's often those you most need, your protectors, your truth-tellers, your soul companions, who are pushed furthest away. This isolation is no accident. It's a tactic. Because when you stand alone, you are easier to influence, manipulate, or drain. Without connection, your defenses fall. So how do you recognize if this is spiritual sabotage rather than emotional friction? Ask yourself, did the shift come suddenly? Without context or warning? Do others seem confused about why they feel differently toward you, as though the change came from somewhere they can't explain? If the answer is yes, take note. Write it down. Watch for timing. These relational fractures often occur after a key event, a new success, a confrontation, a conflict that made someone envious. And that brings us to the fifth and most intimate sign, the awakening of your own intuitive alarm system. You may begin to sense things that can't be explained. A heaviness in your chest in certain rooms. Goosebumps when a specific person enters. An unease that lingers in places that once felt safe. You start dreaming vividly of being chased, trapped, or watched. You wake exhausted as though your spirit has been in battle all night. These are not irrational fears. They are your internal warning signals. Your soul knows what your mind cannot yet prove. Pay attention to them. Your body is a finely tuned instrument of awareness. When you feel a persistent chill, a sudden nausea, or your breath shortens in someone's presence, it is not always psychological. Sometimes it is spiritual, a knowing deeper than thought, one meant to guide you if you dare to listen. Witchcraft thrives in silence, secrecy, and doubt. But the moment you become aware, truly aware, the spell begins to break. Knowledge severs its hold. And when you act, cleansing your space, restoring your energy, strengthening your intuition, you reclaim your sovereignty. So take a breath. Review the 5 signs. Patterns of misfortune that don't make sense. Physical and emotional symptoms that defy diagnosis. Strange objects planted in your space. Sudden relational collapse. And intuitive signals that speak louder than words. If you see 2 or more of these signs aligning in your life, don't panic, but don't ignore them either. Awareness is your first act of defense. And from here, you can take the next steps to protect yourself, spiritually and energetically. Because you were never meant to live under attack. You were meant to live in power.